baseball, and guys want to huddle around the turtle, and they want to hang out, and they want to, again, they miss opportunities to grow kids. And so for us, our base coaches are on the base paths, right? Our outfield coaches with the outfielders. I'm usually moving around and doing some different things, whether I'm talking to hitters or whatever the case may be. But I just think you have to utilize your time. And so don't miss opportunities to coach kids. And so our third base coach is always in the third base coach's box during on-field BP, and he's waving runners and holding runners and talking to them about reads and talking about checking the outfielders. And
hello, everybody, and welcome to Clearing the Bases, the podcast where we step up to the plate and dive deep into the world of youth baseball. I'm your host, Jimmy Filangieri. On this show, we discuss all things related to the preparation and development of youth baseball players, coaches, and yes, even parents. So sit back, settle in, and get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there.
But when they made it to Omaha, we lost our mind. We're like, we're going to go work Vandy camp. So we go work the youth camp. And the youth camp's from 9 to noon. And I heard of people working the prospect camp, but the word is you can't get into prospect camp. Like, there's no chance you're going to work prospect camp. They're like, you got to kind of like, you got to grow, and they have to see that you can do it. So we go down and work this youth camp, and it's 9 to noon, and it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But you meet in the classroom on Sunday with Corbs. So we sit down in this classroom session, and I'm talking. They're telling us what side of the street to stand on, and how to walk, and how to greet people, and you're a walking, talking billboard for your program, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever been. Now you're nervous because you're like, Corbs he's on it, and it was cool. So we worked camp that year, and once you get in, you're kind of in, right? So you don't ever want to miss. So every year thereafter, we're working, and I'm like, man, I want to work prospect camp.
To be able to reach the highest levels of this game, you got to work hard. You got to get in the cages. You got to do your strength and conditioning. You got to throw your bullpens. There's all of this physical stuff that you need to do, and you need to work hard at it. But don't forget that you also have to get better at the mental side of the game. And one of the ways you can do that is increase baseball IQ by downloading and using the 6-Tool app.
For baseball coaches like you, every game brings measurable progress. However, game time isn't the time for trial and error learning. Instead, have a proactive approach. Use 6-Tool, the best baseball player development tool on the market. We provide a platform to level up your coaching strategy by helping you to quickly identify and address your players' knowledge of the game. By using our easy-to-implement interactive player quizzes, you can assess position-specific issues, overall baseball IQ, and much more. Win more games and develop better overall baseball players with effective off-the-field training. Visit us at 6-tool.com. 6-Tool. Get ahead in the game.
Today, we're joined by a leader who's made a tremendous impact on high school baseball in the state of Ohio. Tom Marker is the head baseball coach at Olentangy Orange High School, and he's been there since 2019. He was the Ohio State Coach of the Year in 2021, and in 2023, he was a finalist in the state championship. Coach Marker is known for his attention to detail, his commitment to player development, and a deep understanding of what it takes to build a winning culture. Coach Marker has developed athletes who not only succeed between the lines, but grow as leaders and young men. Today, we'll dive deep into his coaching journey, how he develops high-character teams, and what it really means to lead a successful high school baseball program in today's game. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. Thanks so much.
So listen, I first became aware of you, at the convention this year, because you were on the main stage speaking, and your presentation caught my attention, and I just thought it'd be a great idea to bring you on. And there's just so many things that we could talk about because almost everything you said, I loved it. So first thing I want to get to, because this is something that I'm dealing with my team. So, I'm going to be a little selfish and try and get the information out of you. But what's your secret to getting guys to buy into your philosophy?
I think transparency. I think transparency is so huge in anything that you do, and just being genuine and honest with your guys, and giving them a voice as well. So I always refer to it. We use a term Ubuntu, which just basically means we are us because you are you. And we tell our guys all the time, they're a reflection of the past and what the guys have done and in our program in the past, and just kind of carry that on. But I think the guys buy in because like that, like I said, they've seen a lot of great players come through the program, and those guys give back and pour back into to our program. We've got a lot of college guys, and I think they've seen the success that those guys have had both on the field, and a lot of guys have gone on to college and not been players, but they see the value in the program and how it's more than just baseball.
Yeah, because like I had said to you, that's not an easy task. I mean, I just took over my program. You've been there for quite a while, right? You've been there since 2019.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So my first season was 2019, and obviously I don't think anybody had a season in 2020. So, we had the 19 season, 21, 22, 23, 24, and this is our sixth season, seventh year, but sixth season.
Yeah, because that's something that, again, it's a difficult thing. I'm trying to build a culture. The players have been there, obviously, before me, because I've only been there 2 years, and to getting them to buy in is not an easy task. So I try and pull out of coaches what I can get out of them to help with that. And in the meantime, it's helping the other coaches who are listening to this to, how to get them to buy in. But one of the things that you do that I really like is use nicknames, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to lighten up the air a bit, right?
Yeah, so I started that as a classroom teacher. I'm a sixth grade math teacher, and when I started years ago teaching, I started to give kids nicknames, and I think what that does is it personalizes the experience. The nickname isn't just something you throw out, and I probably use that more in a classroom than I do with our baseball guys. But I think anytime, I think a nickname is almost like a term of endearment, right? And even my favorite teachers that I ever had, I always called them coach. And I think coach could be almost one of the, other than maybe dad, might be the best thing you can be called as a man in this day and age. And so, I think giving a nickname to a kid that's personalized and it means something, and there's a reason behind it and a story behind it, it kind of personalizes the experience for them as well.
So you don't use it as much with your players, mostly with your students.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do, but I think it's more like, we have a kid named Keegan Nubb. We call him Key because I don't think that's anything totally different. ZK or Zav or, it just shortens the name a little bit. But I don't think it's as personalized with the baseball as it is with the students. But I just I try to just relationship building is everything, right? And sometimes that leads to a nickname and something along those lines. Or sometimes the guys give each other nicknames. I do. So I have an announcer right now that I had in school as a sixth grader. He's now our announcer.
Wow.
And his name is Graham, and I call him S'mores, and because of graham crackers, right? So still to this day I call him S'moresy, and he's a junior in high school, and so that's carried over. Or we have another announcer, and I had him as a sixth grade math student. His name's Steven Yoder, and we call him Potato Salad because Yoder potato salad is like an Amish potato salad that's really good. So, yes, I have nicknames for guys, but a lot of it stemmed from whenever Airplane, Zach Wright, the Wright brothers invented the airplane. He's one of our pitchers, and so we call him Airplane. So, yes, he does have a nickname, but that came from sixth grade math. So I guess a lot of our guys, our baseball players that do have nicknames, they got them when they were in sixth grade math with me, and now they're high schoolers, so.
And that's pretty cool because I have, nicknames that I use, but I use them generically, and I use them like a lot of times to just describe the team, like, hey, like if I'm calling somebody, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll say, hey, Frankenstein, come over here. And it lightens the mood up a little bit, and the kids laugh and, they come over and the important thing that you said, which I love, is about the relationships, because building those relationships are so important. What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. Like our guys are older brothers to my own sibling, or not my own sibling, my own kids. So my kids coming around the park and they have 50 older brothers, right? And they know them and they know James Wimsatt's Jimmy. Jim, when he's playing well, his alter ego is Jimmy, right? Like he's going to play well. That's what we call him. And they know all the guys and kind of have little nicknames for them. But relationship building is so vitally important. And I used to hate when people used to say as a teacher, like, do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected? And they'd say, you want to say you want to be respected. I want to be liked.
Yeah.
I want people to enjoy my company and I want to enjoy their company. And so for our players too, like, do you want your players to like you or respect you? I want them to respect me, but I absolutely want them to like me because we're going to spend a lot of time together and I want them to enjoy the time that they're around me. And does that mean that everything's going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But the relationships is so important because I lean on those guys for a lot of things. They've helped. Everybody says coaches develop players, but I think players help develop coaches, and I think our guys have done that really well for me. I mean, we have a first base coach now that played for me in 19. He just graduated from Bowling Green. He played at Bowling Green, and a lot of my coaching style changed when he put his thumb on me a little bit when he was a senior and just had some questions, and they were he was spot on and checked me on some things. So I think just as much as coaches develop players, I think players can help develop coaches, and students can help develop teachers and make you better if you're willing to listen and have that relationship and just not understand that it's not a dictatorship.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because what you just said about, being liked or being respected, the thing that I never kind of understood about that is, well, if you're liked, you're kind of respected also, aren't you? I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand, and I would never want somebody to hate me. Excuse me. I would never want somebody to hate me, but feel that they have to respect me because if they're doing that, then it's kind of like being forced.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And then I loved what you said about, the player, keeping you in check. And I think that that is so important that we do as coaches is we're not perfect. It's just, and I think a lot of times if we let our players see our vulnerabilities and see that we're not perfect, see that we make mistakes, I mean, what a great thing to teach them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and my wife always says like some of the ways I get on our guys about certain things, and my wife will say, you're such a hypocrite. You did that. And I said, yeah, I did do those things, but I learned from them. And I don't want, like, just like as a father, you don't want your son or your daughter to make the same mistakes you made. You know what I mean? Just because you did it doesn't mean you want them to fall. Like, you learn from it, so you're trying to help them. And I share those stories with our guys all the time. Like, I played at Kaplan University. It's a Division III school in Ohio, and I have records. And I tell them, I have records. I have the most losses in a season as a pitcher. I'm in first, second, and third place. You know what I mean? Like I've had struggles, and I haven't done things right. And everybody says, man, I wish we could go back and if I knew what I knew now, then I'd be a lot better player. Well, I don't get the opportunity to go back and play, so I'm going to try to share some of those stories with our guys and just be, like you said, be vulnerable. If you could do that around your guys, and your guys can do that around each other, that's what our spring trip is about. Like, we take a spring trip every year, and it's truly about growing as a group and being vulnerable around each other and learning about each other and understand that a lot of us have the same struggles.
Yeah,
We're all fighting the same thing. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm jealous that you go away in the spring with the team because we don't. And I mean, you being in Ohio and me being in New York, I want to get out of here. Like, it just started to get warm here now. I don't know how it is in Ohio.
yeah, we had a decent day today with some wind, but last week it was down. It felt like the wind chill was 34. So that's tough to play ball in that. It's everybody goes, you got to be tough, and I get that, but I also want to have true baseball.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, we played a game the other night, and same thing like you just said. Wind, cold, probably mid-30s, and after the game, I just said to my players, I said, really, that was who was going to persevere. Who was going to be able to fight the cold better, us or them. It didn't come down to baseball. It came down to who could deal with the cold better. So
Isn't it wild that the MLB plays their most important games in the worst weather? Like,
yeah,
isn't that wild? Like, you're going to play the World Series in Yankee Stadium, and it's going to be 36.
yeah,
Like, how wild is that, right? And your most important. That's why I love college baseball in Omaha. It's going to be beautiful.
yeah.
You're going to have 8 teams there. It's going to be highly competitive. It's going to be. I mean, So
Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, and I mean, a lot of coaches that I talk to feel the same way. I really don't even watch Major League Baseball anymore. I watch all college baseball.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
it's a
me as
better
well.
game.
I love it. I could watch it all day.
Yeah, yeah, me too. So, one of the things that you talked about in your presentation, which I want you to elaborate a little bit on, and I thought this was perfect when you said this. You were talking about the lemonade stand and missing teaching moments. I think that that's so important. Go ahead, elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so we try to change like the terminology and vernacular we use for describing different things. So like for instance, like when you make your groups for after game duties, right? Or whatever however you want to term them. Like you're responsible to rake the lip or we call those opportunities. They're not responsibilities, they're opportunities. They're opportunities for you to grow as a person in terms of attention to detail or whatever. And so the whole thing with the lemonade stand, and I shared it at ABCA, but just I was at a thing with my son, and it was his little league get together after the season, and they were getting drinks in this lemonade, whatever jug, and they weren't able to turn the knob correctly. And I just sat back. I'd already gone up there, but I saw them struggling with this, and I heard another parent go, "Hey, you got to turn it this way." And I thought to myself again, as I shared at the ABCA, is we're taking away the opportunity for kids to problem solve. And in all honesty, kids are great problem solvers. I mean, they're elite video game players, right? Where they problem solve all the time there. But then when it comes to academics or athletics, we want to solve the problem for them. And I think what you do is you create these robots that never are able to persevere in struggling situations. I think it's similar to people that like if you ever watch a coach put a sign on before the first pitch of the game, like the third base coach puts a sign, I'm like, what could you possibly be telling the kid in this instance that you have to have this? But it's almost like we feel like we always have to coach instead of like, like if you're in a cage with a hitter, why not ask them like, okay, what did you feel there? Or you know what I mean? Why don't you manipulate the drill to have them explain it? So we miss teachable moments, but we also we never take the guardrails down or we never take the training wheels off the kid and let them kind of I call it productive struggle or fail forward or anything like that. We never have that, and so I just that was my big spiel. There is just we got to quit trying to teach mechanics. Hey, your elbow has to go here, instead of just letting the kid figure. I mean, if you think about if somebody taught mechanics to Hunter Pence, like Hunter Pence's swing is awful.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks awful, right? But
yeah.
he gets results. And somebody just said, "Hey, go play, go figure it out," And I think about Patrick Mahomes when he's rolling out and he throws a sidearm. Why does he throw it sidearm like that? Because it gets the job done. Because he found out that he can do that. But in baseball, I feel like we hinder kids so much by we shy away from teachable moments, and we also we paralyze them by giving them so much instruction that and we don't let them figure anything out, and they're pretty daggone smart, and we got to allow them to figure things out on their own.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, what you just said about Patrick Mahomes, perfect. Okay, because that is natural ability, and that's just reading the situation and adapting to what's going on. That's what that is. And to your point, yeah, I mean, hitters. I really don't tell them much at all. I mean, there are certain staples that I have, and I've mentioned them on the show a million times, so I'm not going to get into them. There's like 3 or 4 things that you need to do as a hitter, and the rest, I always tell my hitters, I don't care how you get that done, okay? But, go in there and be an athlete, and that's it.
Yeah, give them enough tools in the toolbox that they can pull and reference anything they need, but and they don't ever understand this, but I talk about like MacGyver. You give him duct tape and a little bit of this, and he figures it out. So that's the same thing with a hitter. Give them the tools, let them go ahead and navigate it on their own, and then you at least in ours, you play 27 games and everybody makes the playoffs. So for me, I want you to struggle as much as possible because if we're not in that struggle zone, we're probably not growing very much. So
Yeah, no, I could not agree with that more. Let's jump into the classroom because it's something that I've started to do last year. I just took over a program last year. This is my second year in this program. And I've been using the classroom more and more. And I want you to explain, why you use the classroom and, how it helps you.
Yeah, I'd say selfishly, it's where I feel most comfortable. I think kids understand that whenever you're in a classroom environment, you know how to take notes in that environment. You know how to listen and learn. You know how to actively participate. You know how to think in that environment. So I like to get them into an environment that they're used to in terms of they understand it's a learning environment. Whereas on the field, I feel like it's more of a let it rip and trust. You know, you got train versus trust. And so in the classroom, what we try to do in the off season, it's a lot different than the in season stuff. But I've tried to catalog a list of I have articles and videos and I mean just so many different resources to pull from that are categorized by, you know, whether it's competing or handling adversity or confidence or whatever the case may be. But it just gives us an opportunity to film study too. So like a lot of times it's not baseball, but when it is baseball, it's a lot of film study. And because I just think football's light years ahead of us in that regard. And so we can show certain things. We're able to hold guys accountable in terms of their training and how they operate in the training environment because we do film all of our practices as well. But to me, the classroom allows you to, like for us, our motto is that we use baseball as a platform to teach life lessons through unique and incredibly elite experiences. Like that's our goal. And so that means you got to teach the holistic kid. And so for us, when you leave our program, if you didn't play an inning, we still feel like you can grow as a person. And because we're going to do activities in that classroom, we're going to develop character traits. We're going to teach a lot of things that young men don't get in a chemistry class, in a lot on a lot of baseball teams, like those quote unquote soft skills that truly aren't very soft, but like those skills that they really like how to shake a hand and how to say thank you and how to love your mom and your parents and do all those little things that will, I believe, we call it the boomerang effect, but when you pour into other people and you learn how to do those things, it boomerangs back to you and it'll take care of your business on the field too. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, you know, if we're teaching our players how to be good human beings first, everything else will take care of itself. I mean, one of the best compliments I've had, you know, this even though the season's early, but every single game, the umpires come up to me after the game and said, "Hey, coach, your kids are very respectful kids." He said, "It's a pleasure working your games," and you know, again, that's what we're trying to teach, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I think you could do, and I teach a lot of other sports in there too. Like we use a lot of clips from basketball, and my go-to guys are like Kobe, Kevin Garnett's because of his intensity. You know, we use so many different videos. I use a lot of Kara Lawson stuff and Gino Ariema and just different coaches and different sports and showing guys. I mean, we use business stuff and just showing guys how everything that we're trying to get you to do on the baseball diamond, you can see in other sports, you can see in other avenues of life, and hopefully you take it and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, two of the names you just mentioned, I use all the time, Kobe and Gino Ariema. I use them all the time because their stuff is spot on and teaches so many lessons. Yeah, so I'm on the same page with you. Uh, okay, so let's jump into a little bit about hitting. So, because this is pretty much like what your presentation was about, was hitting. And number one, let's talk because a lot of people ask the question about you indoor use. How do you make it work indoors? Because a lot of people struggle with that, and I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so it just depends on what the day is. But for us, we do have a nice indoor facility, which is really a product of just our guys going out and getting supporters to support our program. But in the indoor facility, we really look at trying to create the environment and then letting them run with it again. So for instance, the constraints or whatever we decided to do. So we might go like one of our favorite drills, I guess you could say, is just like a low junior where we take a junior hack and put it on the floor and we're gonna run soft changeups away for like it's like left-handed soft changeup away. We do a lot of bands. Band is stuff that Hefner talks about at DBU. So we do a lot of banded drills. If it's a guy that can't get into his feet, can't get into the ground very well, or doesn't what we call coil around the backside hip or whatever the case may be. And then we'll do some high velo stuff. We'll do some shape, maybe some breaking ball. We have an eye pitch machine which you're able to do pitch variation. You can program a pitcher in there based on spin and based on slot and all those different things. But in our indoor, we try to make it tough. We try to make it really tough on our guys, and we try to simulate what they're going to see if it's during the season. So, for instance, if we're going to play on, we played today, and we knew we were going to see an 86, 89 arm. Not a ton of depth on the breaking ball, but does spin one in there. So we're going to set up all of our cages and machines to emulate what they're going to see that day. But if it's in between games where we have a length in between games, then we're going to focus on whatever we've been struggling on. But I just think you have to be very intentional with your grouping, and you have to be very intentional with your hitting drills. And one thing we got away from, which I agree, I don't think people should do this, is a lot of times you'll see people set up drills and everybody just rotates through the drills. But you got Johnny who's struggling to be in his legs, and he's doing the same drill as the guy that struggles on the ball middle away. Like it's almost like differentiation of instruction whenever you're in the classroom, right? Like you need to do that for your hitters too. Like they shouldn't just rotate through drills mindlessly going through. So we put implements in their hands too. So if it's a guy that's a little tight and his bat's not moving very quick, we're going to put a light bat in his hand. If it's a guy and we're going to say, you're using this in every station you go to today, everywhere you go, mixed BP or machine or whatever, this is what you're using. Or a guy that maybe drops the backside bat a little bit and gets a little long, we're going to put a long axe bat in his hand maybe, or we're going to put a barrel-loaded implement in his hand. The guy that struggles to be in his legs, we're going to put bands around his legs, and he's wearing those the whole day. So I just think you have to be very intentional with what you do and how you set up the indoor training. And then I also think, as crazy as it sounds, I think you got to jam music and get it loud in there and get the energy in there. And that's a Pete Carroll thing, right? And Pete Carroll believes that like a practice environment should be like a rock concert because you want guys excited about being there. And I always noticed that when I went to Vanderbilt baseball games too, like in between innings, it was rocking. And Pete Carroll's practice and training environment, it is rocking. And so we go music, and we're gonna pump the music and make sure the energy is at a high level.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't use music in the when we're indoors training, but we use it in the weight room, and it's the same type of thing where it gets them going. And I have to monitor the music that they want to play, but we still do it.
Yeah.
So in what you just explained, you were talking about a lot of mechanical stuff. A guy not getting in his legs and having hip issues and this and that. Okay, do you work on situational stuff indoors? Because I know we do that a lot. Like we have cages, two-strike approach, get them over, get them in.
Yep.
Hit and runs stations. Do you do a lot of that?
Yeah, we do a lot of slash inside. But again, that's with the intent of getting them back in their legs. We bun out on every station, every drill, every single station we do, we bun out. We took that from Louisville. They do it on field, and so we do it on field as well. We do a ton of bunning inside with half wooden bats where we shave the top off. That's from Justin Hare does it at Ohio State. I know Steve Dinneman does it at Northern Kentucky. We use a lot of smash factor balls that are high spin. But as far as like situational, yes, there is sometimes you'll see like in our plans, it'll say sitch hack, which just means a situational hack attack, where we'll have a coach manning that. Or on the eye pitch, a lot of times when they get to that cage that has the eye pitch, we're saying, okay, you have an AB here. There's a man on second. Let's drive him over. Hey, we've got a man on third. We're going to go infield's back. Let's get something on the ground. Infield's in. Let's get something in the air. Let's go our safety here. So, yes, we do a ton of situational stuff in there. We do that more so as we get closer to the games, as opposed to off season, because I think there's different periods of the year. I think there's like a skill acquisition period, and then I think there's a skill application period, right? So there's a time where they're trying to acquire the skill, but now we need you to apply it. Whether it be, hey, we're seeing a 90s arm, it's going to have some ride to it. We're going to work on ground balls all day. We just need you to hit. We need to get on top and not get underneath this pitch. So yes, we do situational, but that's more so as we get closer to the year.
Yeah, I love what you just said too, because I agree with you 100%. The fall is to work on things that we need to work on mechanically. Whereas when we meet in the spring, actually late winter, that is starting to get ready for the game. So that's more situational stuff. However, where I am, you're not allowed to work with your players in the fall. You can't work with your players anytime after the season ends until the following. Like, in other words, our season started March 17th this year. You cannot work with your players until then. So it has to be more like an open gym or something that, yeah, it's crazy, Tom, I'm telling you, because we don't really get that opportunity. So we have to be creative in how we do it. So I've kind of figured out how I want to do it, and I'll implement that this year. But yeah, it's tough here.
Yeah, and so we get 6-player workouts. We can have 6 guys in a workout together outside of the season. Inside the season, obviously unlimited. But like if we started February 24th or something along those lines is our first day of tryouts. But if we're in December, we can have 6 guys in a group and we can coach them all up. And we can have 6 guys in the cage and have another 6 guys on the field taking ground balls with another coach. That's allowed to happen. Before we were allowed to have that many, we would set up a lot of video delay app stuff. And so that guys could see themselves and try to coach themselves. But I just don't understand why they don't want the quote unquote certified coach, right? Like the guy he is a coach. He is an educator. He's done all the training. But instead, we're going to allow these guys to go work outside of your program with guys who, there are some very good instructors, so I'm not talking about them all. But then there's some guys who've never played the game or at a high level. They've never coached a team concept, but we're paying them for lessons, and it's just kind of wild. But that they don't allow that, but it's what it is, I guess.
Don't get me started because because I won't be able to stop.
Right.
That's the biggest problem that I have is because we're not allowed to work with them. Now I have to start piecing it together once we do get together. And, this kid was told that and this kid was taught that. And, oh, God, it drives me, especially with my pitchers, because I have no control over what they're doing over the winter.
Yeah, that's rough. That's tough.
And
that's tough.
It is because, and I'll be honest with you, and I just had a conversation the other day with my 2 assistant coaches. We have 2 kids on the team that have been to every pitching program, lessons, just everything, thousands and thousands of dollars spent on this, that. They're my 2 worst pitchers.
Yeah.
They can't throw strikes. Yeah, they throw hard. Yeah, that's great. But you can't throw a strike, so I can't pitch you.
Right.
So anyway,
I think when you talk about the culture thing too, I think it comes down to values, behaviors, and outcomes, right? Like, what do you value? What behaviors match those values? And then what outcome are you trying to get from there? And for us, like you talk about guys going out, I don't mind if guys go out to other pitching instructors and all that. Like, I don't mind that at all because we have some really good instructors around here. But what I tell them is you need to be here for that team piece. Like, you need to be around the guys because for us, we value that over everything. And when guys work together, whether it's in the weight room or they're training together, they're doing pitching together and they're throwing together, like there's so much value there. And so that's my only pet peeve about going out. Like, I just think you don't understand the importance of the team concept of being around your guys.
Yeah, but to your point, yeah, there are very good pitching instructors around here that if you go to them, yeah, I know they're doing the right thing. The problem is they're all not going to him. They're all going to different guys. And some of the guys are going to, like you said, some of them just aren't very good. They don't know what they're, I don't want to say they don't know what they're doing, but they're not teaching like what I would teach or maybe what you would teach. You know what I'm saying? Whereas there are instructors that I know they're going to teach the same stuff and we're all on the same page, which is fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah, and lessons are so weird too. Like, I used to tutor for math and I hated it because it's not the game. Like, I know it sounds like it's not the actual, you'll have kids will say, I hit home run. I hit so well in the cages. Yeah, because your training environment is because you're hitting off of tees and you're doing flips. You're not doing mixed BP. You're not seeing mixed machine looks, right? And so if your training environment is such that you're having a high level of success, it's a poor training environment. But If you were having a low level of success and being challenged, then you're probably not going to continue to pay that pitching instructor or hitting instructor because you walk out of there and you don't feel great about yourself. But a truly really successful training session or a really successful math class is one where you come out asking more questions than when you went in.
Yeah.
It's where you're not frustrated, you're getting really fascinated with what's going on,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But that's the difference is we don't want to frustrate these kids. We don't want to push them on the brink because they won't come back and pay that dollar the next time. But in our environment, they will because they're part of the team.
Right.
So they understand that that's part of the process.
Yeah. I learned that a long time ago, especially with hitting. I don't remember if I read an article or I listened to a podcast or whatever it was. It was a softball coach, and I don't remember what school she was from, but she was talking about using the machine. And at the time, I mean, this is going back quite a few years. You know, I'm a little old school. I didn't like the machine. I just didn't like it. I said they can't time the ball, this. But what she talked about is that, number one, by them not being able or making it harder to time the pitch is a plus. That's to our advantage because now when they do see a live arm, it's easier for them to time it. And then, you know, speeds and all of this stuff. And she really turned my thinking around that to what you just said. Yeah, when we're in the cage, I'm cranking the machine up. I'm making it as hard as I possibly can on you in that cage. I don't want you to go in there and hit every single one. I want you to hit like 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, because
Right.
that's reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't stand when kids say I can't hit well off a machine. And I just say, well, but again, baseball is one of those sports where we train at the lowest level. Like we put a ball on a tee. Like how wild is that you're going to hit off a tee? How far is that removed from the game?
Yeah.
Like if you think about how far that is, that would be like a basketball player shooting on an 8-foot rim. It doesn't make sense. Like it truly, I mean, or a larger basket, an open hoop. But then when you watch the best soccer programs train and they have the net, it's all covered up except for little spots in the net have openings, right? So they make the training environment more difficult. Baseball is the only sport I know that makes the training environment easier.
Yeah.
Like it truly is easier. You're
Yeah.
hitting off a tee or doing flips. You're so far easier than a game. It's the only sport that does that.
Yeah.
I don't know any other sport that trains like that.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but you do use the tees in certain instances.
Never.
Never. You don't hit it off
Never.
a tee at all. So if a
Not at
kid is
all.
having mechanical flaws, you won't put him on a tee to try and straighten that out?
The only time we go off a tee with anybody, and we have tees, I don't remember using them once this year, is if I'm trying to work lower half mechanics. That's it. But other than that, I don't. I don't at all. And we very rarely do flips either. And so for us, I think if you're not making decisions, you're not making progress. Like I truly believe that. And so from a T standpoint, I just feel like there's no decision making. And now there are some guys that like if our guys have a PD day, which it's personal development, and they want to hit off a tee because they feel comfortable, but I don't remember anybody hitting off a tee this year in our whole
Wow.
entire program, not once. And right now we have the best hitting team we've ever had in terms of average and QABs and stuff like that. Is it because we don't hit off a tee? I don't know, but we truly never use the tee. Now I know there's people that love it, but for me, I just think it doesn't. You don't make progress on a tee because it's so far removed from the actual game. Not that I mean I'm sure there's plenty of outstanding coaches that use it all the time. Or somebody will say, "Well, Tony Gwynn used to hit off a tee," and I get that, I get that. And Tony Gwynn, yeah, it just doesn't work for us. And so no, we haven't used the tee one time this year.
And that's why I'm so interested. I mean, you could see in my eyes that I was because I think you're the first person that I've ever spoken to that said that they don't use tees. Because now, granted, when I'm using tees, I'm not using them for quote unquote batting practice. That's not what it's for. I have a kid that has some type of flaw, and we'll set him up on a tee for certain things just to get his body moving the way it needs to move. So we'll use the tee to do that because I believe that it's harder for him to try and create those movements when the ball is moving towards him. So if we can get those movements right, then we can put him in and he could hit live. But that's interesting. I mean, it's just another point of view.
Could you give me an example of like a movement flaw?
Perfect one I could use because this is what I use the tee for a lot. okay, is nowadays with the launch angle. Okay, so a
Yep.
lot of kids are dropping their backside and they're trying to
Yeah.
launch the ball. So what we'll do is we'll set them up on the tee, no stride, okay, and I will literally, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I will tell them to drive the ball 30 feet into the ground, 30 feet in front of the tee. And the reason why I do that is I'm trying to get them to feel their hands moving from here to the baseball
Mhm.
rather than here, okay,
Yeah.
and it works for me.
Yep. Yep.
For me,
Yep.
those type of things where I'll set him up and make him do that, and
Mhm.
that's a good example.
Yep. Yeah. And so I try to think of those things too. Like if I were having a guy that stays on his backside, I may have him hit off the machine with the band pulling him back to feed the mistake. And so that whenever he does leak back, he's going to tip over. Or I'm going to put an implement in his hand that if he does tip back, it's barrel loaded. There's no chance of getting a ball. Or I'm going to go machine on the ground shooting upward that if you're not short to that ball, you're swinging under it every single time.
Yeah.
But I agree that the tee would fix it too. I just want something moving. That's just my again preference. You know what I mean? Whatever you guys do. But like if we have a guy that leaks out to the front side, we're gonna go open machine shooting at their backside hip because if you move forward, you have no chance to hit that pitch. So I guess for us, everything's with a machine and bands to make them auto correct, and we might not even say anything.
Yeah.
So we if it's a guy that's leaking out to his front side, we shoot that machine from the open side to his backside hip. We won't tell him that day. Like we'll just have it set up so that whenever he gets to that cage, he's going to have to self-correct or he will never hit the baseball.
Yeah.
So without even telling him, hey, here's what we're doing, I'm hoping that they can problem solve. Now, will they? I don't know.
Hmm.
But I think eventually a kid's going to get so frustrated he's not hitting the ball that he's going to have to make those corrections on his own. That's my hope.
But the other thing too you have to take into account is the level of talent. You may have, a lot of talented ball players. Where I'm coaching, we have a very, very small pool, and our players
Absolutely.
they're middle of the road players. We don't even have players that I would say, are high level players. They're just
Mhm.
not. And so again, that has something to do with it. If you have more talented players,
Absolutely.
it's going to be a lot easier to do what you're doing and a lot harder to. If I tried to do what you do, that'll be a mess.
Yep.
It won't work.
Absolutely. I totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. So we talked a little bit about PD days. Another thing that I love that you said, because I'm a big believer in this also, and I don't do it that much either, is bunt defenses in first and third place.
Yeah. So we haven't been bid on it yet this year, but I just felt like we spent a lot of times training something that doesn't happen very often. And I go back to, when Kai Correa used to talk about coaches hitting fungos, right? And they would hit these backspun ground balls to their infielders. And so you're hitting something that never happens. And so we're trying to be efficient with our time. And even with, like we talked about the hitting off the machine, same thing with bunt defenses. Like if I really feel like we need to work on bunt defenses, why not just have a bunt scrimmage and let them screw it up and then let them articulate why they did what they did, And so if there's a guy, like somebody goes, you really don't talk about like a man on second base, your third baseman has to read a triangle. I said, I don't talk about that in a bunt scrimmage situation. Maybe we'll start with a man on second and we'll fake bunt steal. And if the third baseman comes in, we'll say, why do you think that happened? He's like, oh, I probably shouldn't charge with a man. Yeah, you shouldn't, right? You shouldn't. You have to read a triangle. You have to open up. Okay. And you just go through it and let them fail and let them talk through the situation. But if I spend my time, like same with cuts and relays, like it's so wild for me to think about guys saying like, we're going to go out there and we're going to hit a fungo to the left center gap and we're going to no, I'm going to play live on field, dead live situation in a on field BP, and I'm going to film it and we're going to let it play out and we're going to screw it all up. And then I'm going to show them on film and we're going to talk through it. Then I'm going to pull from Baseball Savant the same exact play and show you how a MLB team defended it. And then we're going to talk about why we think our defense might be slightly different than an MLB team who can throw it this distance or do this. And then we're going to rep it again the next day through live on field and let them make mistakes again. Because again, if you're not making decisions, you're not growing. But if I get up there and then we're going to go bunt defense, okay, man on first, here we go. Okay, you're charging, you're doing this. I'm going to roll the ball out. I'm going to show like I'm bunting. I'm going to roll the ball out. We're going to play this bunt defense. They're not making very many decisions there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so for me, it's just not very efficient use of your time.
Okay.
Same with first and third defenses. Like, not to leak everything out, but like we put a lot on our middle infield and we talked to them in training about, okay, how important is the runner at third? Does that run matter? Should we defend it? Like, what do you guys think? And then in a game situation, we say the same thing. Like, go be a play and be a baseball player. Go make a play. Do what you need to do to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll do bunt scrimmages, like you said. Bunt defense, I'll go over it real quickly with them because, again, it's not really brain surgery. There's only a couple of ways to do it. We won't do it. And first and third, my reason for the first and third is a little bit different than yours. Mine is because they never work. I mean, I've been coaching forever, and I can't remember a time that I saw. I mean, look, it must have happened once, twice. It never works. I mean, the runner from third never leaves. The guy always steals second base. I've never seen anybody make that play work. So why are we going to spend time on it? We have them. We have the plays, and every once in a while, we'll call one. But I know we're not going to get it's almost just an exercise in, just doing it.
Yeah.
So they know that we're not brain dead.
I just feel like if we can throw strikes, play sound defense, and catch a barrel at the plate, you're going to win a lot of games. Throw and catch and just do the routine things. And the same thing with a bunt. Like, let's get an out. If you take the out and you continue to defend and you don't walk guys, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
But I'd rather put my time and energy and effort into catch play and catching a barrel at the plate and being able to defend than spending my time on bunt defenses.
Yeah. I mean, catch play, we spend a tremendous amount of time on that, again, because the talent level is mediocre. These kids have never been taught how to do it. So, when they come up, they think that, when we're getting loose, that's what we're doing. And, they're not paying attention to what they're doing. They're throwing the ball to their partner and they don't know what they're doing. Well, we have an actual program that we run through, and I actually push my guys in my catch play to be in sync so that when you throw the ball, everything hits the other side at the same time. And that's how tight I try to work it. Because I'm doing something that's nearly impossible to do, but I think by trying to get to something that's impossible is going to make us that much better.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
So, okay. And this is another thing that I love, because when you went through your presentation, you had videos of coaches on the field coaching, okay? And again, you hit a nerve with me, because if you ever came to one of my practices, I am all over that field. I mean, I'm surprised that somebody hasn't hit me with a baseball yet, because, I'm on the field coaching. So go ahead, expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I took it a little bit from football as well. Just when you see 7-on-7s or you see football scrimmages, usually they'll run 10 plays, right? And when they're running those 10 plays, the coaches are on the field, right? They're on the field instructing. And then in hoops, like when I went and watched Centerville, who's a really good basketball program around here, and Coach Cups, he had his defensive coach on the defensive side of the floor during their scrimmage. He had his offensive coach on the offensive side of the floor. They weren't standing in the middle. Then we get to baseball, and guys want to huddle around the turtle, and they want to hang out, and they want to, again, they miss opportunities to grow kids. And so for us, our base coaches are on the base paths, right? Our outfield coaches with the outfielders. I'm usually moving around and doing some different things, whether I'm talking to hitters or whatever the case may be. But I just think you have to utilize your time. And so don't miss opportunities to coach kids. And so our third base coach is always in the third base coach's box during on-field BP, and he's waving runners and holding runners and talking to them about reads and talking about checking the outfielders and doing all the things you would do in a game, but getting his reps in too, right? And just making sure he's developing a rapport and a relationship with our base runners so that they understand, hey, he's going to be here on a single to left, and he's going to wave me this way, and he's going to talk to me, and here's the communication that's going to happen. So, yeah, our coaches are constantly coaching, and they do a heck of a job, and just try to use the space we have and use the time we have as efficiently as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely the way to go. You need the coaches, though. That's the thing. You have to have good coaches. And, again, I'm rebuilding this program. I have two young coaches, so I'm actually building them at the same time. So it's me. Like I said, I'm running here. I'm in the outfield. I'm running all over the place because I don't want to miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we started to use a headset in training as well at times just to talk over the PA system. And so we use that so that I don't have to yell to the right fielder and I don't have to. So it's just basically a Bluetooth headset that allows me to speak, and it projects over the loudspeaker, the announcing speaker, right? So you have your music going, but I can talk over top. So I just wear it on my hip. I just wear the pack, right, that goes to the headset. And so if I'm in a third base coach's box and the right fielder makes a play, it might be a that boy, or he's out of position, I may say, hey, move, even during on-field BP, hey, move to the right. So I don't have to scream out there and talk over top of the music. And I can articulate things, or we can freeze the play or freeze the situation, and I could talk through it, and I don't have to scream or bring everybody in. It just allows me to continually communicate over top of them.
wow. I mean, that's fantastic. My biggest fear with that is that people will be able to hear me outside of the field, and that won't be good.
Yeah, just click it off. You can turn it off during that time.
No. What I mean, even when I'm talking to, like you said, talking to the
Oh,
right fielder, something
yeah,
will come out of my
yeah.
mouth that people shouldn't hear.
You're right, right. Yeah, you may have that.
And the other problem that we have is we don't have a baseball field, believe it or not.
Okay.
So we actually practice on the football field. So, again, that's another, what do you call it? Stumbling block that we have that we don't, the flip side of it is that we do play our home games in the Yankees High A stadium. So
Oh, very cool.
we play our games on a nice field, our home games, most of them. But, yeah, we don't have a field. I have to practice on the football field. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's
But,
wild.
but you know what? The school that I came from before this one, we had beautiful field there, but half of the field was into the lacrosse field. So we had to be creative. We had to, be very creative. So you know what? That was a good training for me because I became creative when I came here. I was like, yeah, no big deal. We'll work out on a football field. I'm used to
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let's do this. Take me through your coaching journey, because usually I'll do that in the beginning, but I don't know for some reason why I didn't do that. So tell me how you evolved to where you are now.
Yeah, so my first ever coaching job, I was just an assistant coach at Bishop Reedy High School, a very small high school in Columbus, Ohio. So I did that for 1 year. And then following that year, I left and took a head coaching job a head JV coaching job at Whitehall, which is again, not a smaller school, but more of an inner city type school. But I was teaching there. So I coached JV there for a year. And then the Independence High School, which is another city school. And when you talk about talent level, like I had maybe 16 kids try out, and maybe 5 or 6 of them never played baseball before. I would wash the uniforms after games at my house, and just things like that. And those kids still come to my games today, like the guys that I coached there. That was a very rewarding experience. I did that for 3 years. It was awesome. I loved it. And then the best man at my wedding is the head coach at Grove City High School. His name's Ryan Alexander. He's a Hall of Fame coach, really good, same age as me. He just got into it a little bit sooner and has done a heck of a job. Went back-to-back state championship runs. They didn't win it, but were there. And just a heck of a coach. So I went with him, and I was his JV coach for 1 year. And then Bexley High School opened up, which is a Division II. Maybe now they're 3 because we went to 7 divisions. But anyway, it's a Division II school, and I went there and got a teaching job and coached there for 4 years. And they share a field with Capital University where I played college ball, so I was familiar with the school. We had some success, nothing outstanding, but had some 20-win seasons. We're top 10 state ranked, but never made a run. And then I went to Upper Arlington, and Upper Arlington's in my league now. They're a big school. They're basically on the Ohio State campus. One high school district, very, very, very good athletic programs there. But my wife's mother, so my mother-in-law and father-in-law live up here near Olentangy Orange. We moved up here, and I did the numbers. I was losing about 13 days in the car, just driving to Upper Arlington and back. And I just couldn't fathom doing that anymore, where I'm losing full days out of my life driving in a car with kids at home. So I was able to. The former coach at Olentangy Orange knew he was leaving. He was retiring, Hall of Fame coach, heck of a guy. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to leave. I think you should apply for this job." And I said, "If I get a teaching job up there, I'll do both. That'd be great." And I got a sixth grade math teaching job at Olentangy Orange Middle School, and then the head baseball job at Olentangy Orange High School, where I've been ever since. So, been to a lot of different places, and I always think like every place was slightly different and taught me something different. So, I've been from a lower income inner city school to Upper Arlington, which is a beautiful suburb school where, like Jack Nicklaus went to high school there, and it's right on Ohio State's campus. So you have a lot of professors' kids, and it's just a very affluent district. So I've been a lot of different places and had a lot of different experiences that I think have helped shape where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And how long have you been doing it?
So oh man, I couldn't even count back. So I think my first year coaching at all was 2002 or 2003 season. I think it was 2003 season. But I've been a head coach. My first head coaching job was probably, so that'd be three, four, five, like somewhere in 7 or 8, 2007 or 8, I believe, as a head coach. So I've been around for a few years now.
And
What's that, 16, 17 years?
yeah, and the reason why I ask is because you look very young. So I'm saying to myself, how long could
Yeah.
he possibly be doing this?
Yeah, 43. So
Yeah,
been
well,
around for a while, but yeah, all those coaching experiences were great. But I tell you, and I said this at the clinic, like I think working camps and growing a friendship with so many different coaches, like that's been game changing. In the spring trips, when we go on these spring trips, we meet coaches from all over the place. So like I've been on the same call with Pudge. That's why I knew Pudge. So I've been on Virginia because I met Virginia's head baseball coach from Cox High School, Matt Ittner. So I met Matt Ittner, and he's worked Vanderbilt camp with me. And Robbie Britt, who's the head coach at Eastern Michigan,
mhm.
he worked camp with me. And Ryan Chipka, who's the Yankees base running coordinator now, took over. Matt Tallarico left, and he worked camp with me. So like all these different people that we've developed relationships with. Through just working camps and trying to like Justin Hare was at Campbell University, and we went down and shadowed him 2 years ago, and I got to know him pretty well. And so I just think getting yourself never turn down an opportunity to learn. Like we just said, like opportunities to coach and don't miss teachable moments. Same thing with learning. Like if you can get out and work camps, that's a game, especially if you're a younger person that like has the energy level to do that. Like working Vanderbilt camp changed my life. Like as a coach, as a teacher, as a father, like just being around Corbs and his staff and his wife Maggie and Amy Elkis, who's the ops lady there now, and just seeing how when you talked about buy-in. I mean, if you've been around that staff and that support staff, like everybody from the trainer to the strength coach to the director of ops to Maggie Corbin to everybody, they're just so bought into making the environment awesome for people.
Yeah, yeah.
So
How did you get involved with working those camps? Because I mean, I'm a little old for that now, but it would be something that I would love to do. Or, like I said, because I am getting old, I can't run around the field like that anymore. Have my assistant coaches go and work these camps. How do you get involved?
so in 2014, I was studying hit by pitches and trying to see like because I was at Bexley at the time, we couldn't hit at all, and I'm just trying to find a way to get our guys to touch first base.
Yeah.
And so I found out that Campbell University and Vanderbilt made the biggest drastic change in hit by pitches, and their win totals drastically improved too. And I shared those stats at the ABCA. So I emailed Campbell University at the time, and I emailed Drew Fan, who was the ops guy at Vanderbilt. And Drew got back to me and said, listen, if we make it to Omaha this year, we got to move the dates of our camp. We're going to lose a lot of our workers. And so if we make it to Omaha, you and your three buddies, bring them down. We'll need 4 people. So we're watching. That's the year that Johnny Norwood hit the home run. That's the year Vandy won the national title. But when they made it to Omaha, we lost our mind. We're like, we're going to go work Vandy camp. So we go work the youth camp. And the youth camp's from 9 to noon. And I heard of people working the prospect camp, but the word is you can't get into prospect camp. Like there's no chance you're going to work prospect camp. They're like, you got to kind of like, you got to grow, and they have to see that you can do it. So we go down and work this youth camp, and it's 9 to noon, and it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But you meet in the classroom on Sunday with Corbs. So we sit down in this classroom session, and I'm talking. They're telling us what side of the street to stand on, and how to walk, and how to greet people, and you're a walking, talking billboard for your program, and this. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever been. Now you're nervous because you're like, he's on it. And it was cool. So we worked camp that year, and once you get in, you're kind of in, right? So you don't ever want to miss. So every year thereafter, we're working, and I'm like, man, I want to work prospect camp. They're like, prospect camp's the overnight camp, and that's where the guys are there. The youth camp is very cool. Like that's up my alley because I love teaching 6th grade, and that's very cool. And I took so many things from that camp that I implemented my own camp. But the goal was like, hey, I really want to work prospect camp. So we're driving back from youth camp one year, and Brooks Webb is now the ops guy, and he's no longer there, but Brooks is awesome. So Brooks calls me and goes, hey, Marker, prospect camp starts on Monday. We need you down here Sunday. Now, we're driving home on a Thursday. He goes, is there any chance you can turn around, come back down to Nashville? It's 6.5-hour drive. He goes, is there any chance to come up? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can. Let me just double check. And I called my wife. I was like, it's like I called up to the big leagues. I'm like, I just got called to work prospect camp. Are you cool if I just turn around and go back down to Nashville after I come home? So I went home. I went to bed on Thursday night. Friday, boom, Saturday, I'm turning back around. And got a chance to work prospect camp, and I've worked that camp ever since too. And it's so cool because the group of guys and Corbs makes you feel like we joke, our coaching buddies that all work camp, we joke that we're on staff. So like sometimes I'm watching Vandy right now in the background too, and it's like I say, hey, listen, like I feel like I had a hand in this game. Like, hey, we're on staff. Don't forget we're on Vandy staff. But it's such a cool thing, and everybody makes fun of me because I love Vanderbilt, but I'm not a fan. Like I'm more of a supporter in a sense because I appreciate and respect what they do, and when they lose, I don't like, oh, Vandy stink. Like fanatics are up and down, you know what I mean? But I just think what Coach does there, and what he does with the kids, and what he does with the program. If you would have saw the program before he got there, Tim Corbin to me is like Mike Deegan. If you ever want to have another guest on, Mike Deegan's the head coach at Denison University. They're number 1 in they might be 3 right now in the nation in Division III. But Mike Deegan's Tim Corbin. He is. Like he's the next guy. Like he took Denison University and flipped this thing upside down. And Mike is so like, he's such a leadership guy and a humble person. He reminds me so much of Tim Corbin because Corbin did that with Andy, at the SEC level. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how we got on camp, and it's been like the coolest thing ever. Like I love it.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk off the air. I'd love to get him on. That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Deegs is he's a mastermind, and everybody goes, what is he so good? Is it like hitting? Is it deep? What is it? I'm like, it's getting the same thing Corbs it does. It's getting guys to play for each other. Like I think about that with Saban too. Like they're just different. Everybody goes, man, do you think Saban knows football better than anybody? I don't know. Do you think Corbs knows baseball? And I would never want this to leak to Corbs. I don't know if Corbs knows more baseball than the next guy across the way. But I'll tell you what, Corbs will get guys to play the game harder in the right way and the attention to detail better than anybody in the country. That's what Saban did. Saban took the best players. I mean, you have 5-star athletes that aren't getting on the field but are still showing up every day. That's hard.
Yeah, sure it is.
It's hard to get kids to do that.
Especially in this day and age.
Oh, man, but they're the masterminds. Corbs and Saban, and it's just different.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how he does it. Well, I do know how he does it because he's passionate. He has a high care level for what he does. He cares about people. He develops the whole person. He doesn't miss on any detail.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
but
but I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely. That's Deegan. That's Mike Deegan too.
yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, most of us, any coach that's worth anything, kind of models yourself after, a Corbin or, any coach that, because I know, like me, my whole thing, X's and O's. Yeah, am I the best X and O's coach in the world? No, I'm not. Okay. Am I the best mechanical guy to be able to teach stuff that way? No, I'm not. I know enough about it, but I'm not the best. Okay. I spend most of my time getting players how to think, how to approach things, how to, pay attention to things. That's really what we do. Like, to give you an idea, like, I forget, you had alluded, oh, you had said before when you went to the youth camp at Vanderbilt, what side of the street, how you greet people, da 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 da. Well, I have a way that we come out of the dugout. I have a way that we stand for the national anthem. We practice that. We do that.
Hmm.
And those things matter. They may not seem like they do, but they do because they're teaching certain things.
Yeah, you want to take the question about does this really matter? You want to get that question out of your program
Yeah.
because we wouldn't be doing it if it didn't.
Right.
Like I promise the kids that. Like I tell my math kids the same thing. Like if they ever ask me when will I use this and I don't have a good answer, then we're not going to teach it. Same thing in our program, right? Like what do we like? Because our kids they asked one time about the slash. They're like, Coach, we train slash all the time, and we truly really don't slash in games. I'm like, you're right, because we're not doing the slash to do it in the games. We're doing the slash to get you in your legs. We're doing the slash to get bat path. We're doing the slash to help you load. We're doing the slash for you know what I mean. But they asked the question, and you got to be able to answer it. And same thing with training. Like we do the same thing. We practice the national anthem. We practice dog piling. Like if it's before a big game, like
I haven't
this
got
guy
there
can't
yet.
be the bottom. This guy's fragile. Don't have him on the bottom. He needs to be the last one in. So yeah, we've gone through that too.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Maybe in a couple of years we can practice that.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt.
Oh God! You know what, Tom? I just looked at the clock here, and we're going over an hour, and I still have like 10 billion things I want to talk to you about. But let me tell you, this was fantastic. Why don't you tell everybody if they want to get in touch with you, social media,
Yeah.
email, let them know where they can reach out to you.
Yeah, so I'm on X all the time. Like I'm addicted to it. I love it. I read it all the time, and I think I grow a lot from it too. But you have to have a good filter. But at Coach Marker on there, Thomas underscore Marker Marker at olsd.us is my email address, my school email address. I'll answer back. I love it. I love when people reach out. That's probably the two easiest ways. I mean, my cell phone number, I don't mind giving that. It's 614-595-5834. I mean, call, text, whatever. I love learning from others too. So if you have questions or you want to challenge a thought, please do, because I think that, again, that's going to help us all grow. And I don't know. And math too, anything academic or athletic. Like I enjoy talking, so feel free to reach out
I might reach
and
out to you for a couple of my players with their math.
yeah, let's go. I love it. That's my favorite. So
Well, like I said, I mean, this was fantastic. I'm so glad that
thank you.
you came on the show, and I know that my listeners have gained a lot from this conversation. So
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
go color your Easter eggs.
We
Okay.
are. We gotta go. I know my daughter was on the steps a couple seconds ago. Kept going. I was like, shh, we're on a call. But yeah, we're gonna get it rocking. I'm excited to do it. So we're gonna go paint these eggs and get going. So
All right, cool. Thanks, Tom, and have a happy Easter.
yeah, you as well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not a problem. So now you know why Tom Marker was one of the speakers on the main stage at the ABCA convention this past January. I mean, what a powerful episode. Coach Marker brought a master class in leadership, team building, culture creation, from player development to program vision. I mean, his insights are a blueprint for any coach looking to build a program. He talked about establishing a strong, value-driven culture. The one thing that I really liked was when he talked about empowering assistant coaches, actually having them on the field, coaching, I mean, I love the way you put it there. A lot of coaches love to stand around a turtle, and I've seen it a million times, and I'm sure you have. You know, coaches are standing by the dugout. They're standing around the turtle. They're not on the field coaching the kids. You have to be on the field working with them, helping them, picking them up when they make mistakes. That's what it's all about. So, I mean, Coach Marker's passion for developing young men, like we talk about all the time, not just baseball players, shines through in everything he does. I believe that his message is one that all coaches, regardless of level, can learn from. So, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Visit the website at thectbshow.net. Listen to your favorite episodes and please leave us a review. You can also reach out to the show on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and get this, the old man has finally got us on TikTok. Keeps me young. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop us an email at clearingthebases@gmail.com. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content and reach more people in the baseball community just like you. And also, let me know if you'd like to be a guest. Until then, coaches and players, keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.